Bhajanita Gaura Radeshyam Japo Hare Krishna Hare Ram. Namaste Guru Devaya Sarvasiddhi Pradaine Sarvamagala Rupaya Sarvananda Vidyayine. Om Satoma Sat Gamayam Tamasoma Yotir Gamayam Rityum Mahamritam Gamayam. Welcome, Shri Radhe. Greetings and blessings from Shri Vrindavandam. The last days have been full rain. Today, storm, but water is falling like incredible Vrindavan. It makes you feel alive, actually, that the devas, the energy is very strong. If it's rain, huge rain. If cold, super cold. Summer heat, super hot. Like really, it makes you alive to feel the elements. Wonderful. The question of today is, does God have form, or is he, she, formless? The wonderful and great question of all times. Yogis, siddhas from all the sampradayas and lineages and all the mystic esoteric traditions, spiritual traditions worldwide have been puzzled with this question. Does God has a form or not? Interesting question. Very big question. Actually, for the Western world, God has not a form, far from the form of Jesus, that is God incarnate for them. But there is a problem. Jesus himself is not God, but the Spirit of God incarnate. At the same time, also I am the Spirit of God incarnate, because I am Jiva, I am Atman, a soul. By the way, the big master Carl Gustav Jung used the word Atman in his theory, you know? That's quite interesting. So every single living entity is a soul. Atman, therefore, is a piece of God in the heart of each of the living entities on the universe. Not only Jesus have God inside, but all of us, actually, all of us. Some jivas are in full conscious or awareness, aware of this. Other jivas are still sleeping, but the time will come where they must wake up from the big dream and to start facing the reality, the final truth. It will happen for you and for everyone. So now we have the words of a Siddha Mahapurush, not only a guru, a master, or a writer, philosopher, but a Siddha Mahapurush, Sri Sri Vijay Krishna Goswami, from whom we will hear a lot of new videos in the coming days and weeks and months, because I am sharing with you the best paragraphs or pages from his biographies, in order to truly understand on a deep level what the true Vaishnavism is and how deep and vast is. It's like an ocean, and more than that, of wisdom and knowledge and realizations overall. So I mentioned that the Christians don't believe in Western and Abrahamic, actual Abrahamic religions such as Judaism, Islam, and Christianism. They don't believe on a God with form. But wait a second, because the very Bible is saying that the men have been created as the image of God. So this gives us a very interesting insights on the God of the Christians from the origins, the original God for the Christians, who have been changed. The scriptures and the vision on Christianism have been changed over the centuries. But when God presented the Christian God, the God from the Bible, presented himself in the hill and gave the 10 Commandments, there in the Bible also clearly reads and reveals that God showed himself to his devotee. At that very moment, the devotee saw the form of God, and the form of God was as the human form. Now, the wrong understanding on this is to think that the human form of God or the form of God, the body of God, is composed of the same elements as the human body. If you open to say, it's a horrible idea, but it's just for explaining for the glory of God. If you open the body of God, you will not find blood and stool and urine. You will find pure light, because the body of God is Chaitanya, is pure, full consciousness. And it's well known that the ancient Christianism, they did worship God with form, but after some things here and there, and the war against polytheism and the deity worshipping that they did all over the world, seems like this information has been hidden from the scriptures and the Christian religion. But originally, by the Bible, God has a form, and his form is just as a human form. This is very clear. And interesting that the Christians that are not aware of this. How is possible? Well, of course it's possible. In this world nowadays, everything is possible. Yes, we have seen everything, seen from people declaring that they are dogs or pigs to, I don't know, parents saying that their child is a woman or something else, an ET and Pleiadian or whatever. Like, the world is very crazy and it's full in darkness and in ignorance. So I'm not surprised about anything anymore. I'm just praying to not have more surprises in this planet. But surely they are coming. So God has a form. Yes, it has a form. Actually, the texts and the traditional history of Islam also is speaking. This is very, very occult. Also speaking that Allah also has a form. And there are deities of Allah from the prehistoric, to say, ancient times of the beginning of that movement. There were. And Yahweh also. Yahweh, previous to be taken as the main deity for Jewish and Christians after, originally Yahweh also, he was a demigod, brother of Baal, that we know clearly Baal is the god of the human sacrifices and the war. While Yahweh also was the god of war back in time, he was brother of Baal, and the son of El was the main deity. The supreme god was called El, not Yahweh. Yahweh was a demigod. And all of them, they had a shape and a form, and they were worshipped as a deity, separate deities. So they had a shape as well. This all have been erased, delayed from history and from the books, but it doesn't mean that people is hiding, some groups are hiding the truth. Does not mean that the truth does not exist. The history is telling this. The proper studies on the topics are showing this. So this is something just to dig a little bit deeper, and you will find all this information. There are wonderful books speaking about especially the Yahweh figure and all the history, and there are proofs that he has a form, but it has been hidden from public nowadays in order to erase first what they call the pagan religions from the world that was the original and real thing. You know that, by the way, in Russia, the ancient Russian culture, Slavic culture, they have a god who plays a flute and he walks through the forests. This is incredible. In the Greek culture, there are proofs that Krishna was worshipped in Greek culture. Even there are in the museums in Greek, the coins where in one side of the coin you see Krishna and the other side is Balaram, and they are writing in Sanskrit and in Greek language, Proto-Greek language. It reads Krishna and Balaram, and you can recognize easily those. Those coins are available. You can see pictures. They are real image from the museum. Now, by memory, I don't recall exactly the details, but you put Krishna Balaram coins in Greek culture and you will see. this was part of the worshipping of those times. So God has a form or not? Of course, yes, because God's form is what gives the form to humankind. That is what Bible is saying, based on Christianism and based on our Gaudiya Shastra or Vaishnava Shastras. Of course, God has a form and also has a no form. Both things are simultaneous and happening and eternal tattva, eternal truth. God is Krishna. There are thousands and millions of gods in India. Yeah. All of them are Krishna. There are other gods from other religions. If they are really God, if those religions are honest and truthful, even if they don't have the knowledge and the lack to have the knowledge from the Shastras, from the spiritual Vedic text, also Puranas, etc., that are based on Bharat in India, even if they are honest, they are worshipping God. So if they believe that they are worshipping God, then those gods from all the cultures and all the planets and universes also is Krishna. All is Krishna. There is only one God. There is Krishna. This is true. And some can argue that maybe this sounds a little bit like a monistic, like a Advaitin idea. Actually, it's true. And also under the vision, and this is only like a small parenthesis for the followers of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, under the vision of Jiva Goswami Pad, also there is no two gods. There is only one God. The movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, is a movement very similar to monism actually, but with the difference that we realize that the one can be separate, but the two is never two, is only one. So Krishna can expand himself as Ramachandra, as Vishnu, as many other forms. Even we can count Shiva, because Shiva came from the body of Krishna. And still, there is no another God. Actually, there is not another God. There are not two or three gods. It's only Krishna. And this separation, but oneness at the same time, is the most simple way that I can present the Ashintya Veda Tattva of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Jiva Goswami, he said, he wrote himself in his Sandarbhas, he said that actually his philosophy, Jiva Goswami speaking, can be called monism. But it's different from monism or from Advaitin, because we don't see that it's only one truth, and this one truth is shapeless, formless. God has not form. This is what many think, many believe, because a lack of information actually, a lack of realizations or kripa, mercy from the divine to really know the final truth. So yes, God is only one. God is the combination and everything is expansion only of Him. Yes, it's true. There is not two gods. But He can manifest as He wants, because that's why He's God. He can have no form and form if He wish. And if I have a form that I am a very little tiny spark of the universal fire that is God, and I have a form, I have a name, how God will not have a form and not a name? So the spark, if that it will be so, then the spark is, the power of the spark is bigger and stronger than the original source of fire. That it's a wow, super thunders here. Indra Devi is saying, yeah, brother, that's it. That's the truth. I know. Because this is Shastric and this is the real vision. So if the spark, from the fire has more power than the fire, do you think this is logic? No, the fire has all the power. One drop of water from the ocean, yes, it's H2O combination, chemical combination, but has not the same power than the full ocean, right? So if the drop of water has a name, has a shape, has a form, do you think that the full ocean had not power to get a name and a shape? Of course he has. Because everything that exists actually is coming from God. It's not that here on earth are trees and rivers and mountains and all the beauty, the flowers, the smell, the fragrance, from nature, is only here, and God is like a gas on somewhere. No, everything that we have here is expansion, direct expansion from the original land of Krishna, that is called Vrindavan, the Nitya Vrindavan. Some say Goloka, but I don't know, I'm not a fan of that name. The Nitya Vrindavan, yes, that place has the best flowers, the best fragrance, the best trees and fruits and food, and everything is so incredible. And at the same time, everything is transcendental. So from there, everything came down. And we have here, because there exists, if something exists here from nature, from harmony, under the creation of God, then exists there as well. I am being clear, yeah? So let's read what our Bijoy Krishna Goswami had to say on regarding to God, form or not form. Does God have form, or is he formless? Thakur here refers to Bijoy Krishna Goswami Prabhupada. Ki Jai Ho. The scriptures say yes. The scriptures say he is formless and has a form too. This universe was not there at first. The Supreme Brahman has created this undivided universe with his power. The created objects are inanimate and conscious. All the elements like earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and all the matters created with the union of these elements too are inanimate. Insects, beasts, birds, human beings are conscious. The Creator is separate from these matters. One who has created, the Master, is separate. No one can be compared with him. Wow, wow. Thunders are incredible. I feel them like in my body. Wow. Insects, beasts, birds, human beings are conscious. The Creator is separate from these matters. One who has created, the Master, is separate. No one can be compared with him. That is why he is formless. But being formless, he is not void. He is Satchitananda. He does have a form, right? The Shastras are explaining that God is Satchitananda, therefore it has a form. It's composed of something, Satchitananda. That form is eternal. The absolute form of the Supreme Lord can be seen when the eyes of Jnana, the eyes of Bhakti, are open. There is one interesting thing here. He said the Jnana, the eyes of Jnana, that is knowledge, eyes of Bhakti are opened. Why? It's not that Jnana is Bhakti, but when you get Bhakti, you get Jnana. When you get Bhakti, you get knowledge. Bhakti is the fusion of the Supreme Power, and in that Supreme Power, Jnana is inherent. So when you open your eyes with Bhakti, you get the full vision and full knowledge, the Jnana. Until you are able to view his absolute form, however you might describe him as one with form or formless, is but your imagination, or that which is heard from others. Throughout eternity, the Bhakta Sadhakas have been enjoying unlimited bliss by having God's vision. Having once seen that sweet beauty, one can never forget it. The way gardener goes and stands far away when the owner of the garden arrives, in the same way, when the friend of the poor, the Lord comes into the garden of the heart. The gardener, which is pride, goes far away and stand with folded hands. The gardener just say, "O Lord, I am your servant." As the gardener sings hymns on the owner's arrival, the hair on his body stand erect to pray to the Lord. Glances of his eyes wash his feet. Glances and tears of his eyes wash his feet. His feet. Wow, so beautiful, really. From here we get two things. One, that the scriptures, Vijay Krishna Goswami Prabhupada, we remember that he was a scholar. Not only that he grew up on a Pandit Brahmin Goswami family, but also when he renounced to his Goswami proudness, family trait, and these kind of things, he joined the Brahmo Samaj, that back in time were one of the most powerful organizations at the time of the young Vijay Krishna Goswami regarding to Shastra, to studies, to unreligion but spiritual philosophies. They were not standing along with casteism and with all these kind of things. They did the revolution of giving votes and empowering women. Also, they support that widows can get married, because of course in India the widows until these days are having a very harsh time. They are like untouchable, kind of. Yeah, so that's not fair. That is not, it's not fair, you know. So they did very interesting thing, and the main point that Vijay Krishna Goswami became one follower of the Brahmo Samaj, and soonly he get the position of preacher, one of the main preacher of that movement. So even before he get like a proper Siddha as a Mahatma that he is, well, always he was, but in the story, when through developing his full shape, he was a scholar, a very powerful scholar. His lessons were very strong and powerful and full of Shastra and deep understanding. So he's not speaking, he's no ignorant person saying this. He's a trustful source on Shastras. And he said that in the Shastras are speaking and explaining that God is formless, but also it has a form. Yeah? Otherwise will not be God, you know? Because if it has no form, then God is half God. It's not the real God. God is complete. God is everything. Form and not form. So from a monistic point of view, it's important to understand that God has a form as well. And from a Vaishnava, and mainly for Gaudi, and mainly for the very basic understanding is to realize also that God also has no form. Both ways are correct. Ramakrishna Paramahansa, a big soul, Mahatma, he always ask to the newcomers, say, do you believe in God with form or without form? Some say no form, some say with form. Sri Vivekananda, who also was a Siddha, at the first meetings with Ramakrishna, he said to Ramakrishna, answering this question, I believe in God with no form. But Ramakrishna said, that's very good, but never ever think that only the no form of God is correct. God also has a form. And this is very correct. And this is the Uttama vision that we should walk through and should be coming to the mind of the sadhaka, to the spiritual realization of the sadhaka. My Krishna is full form, and I am very happy that he is showing this face to me and not the void, not the no form, not the only Parabrahman. I'm very happy, I'm very lucky, I'm very more than lucky. There must be a word for that. Maybe I don't know the word, but it's a Mahakripa. Krishna has been showing his beautiful face to me, and not only Parabrahman energy. But for the ones who receive that shape of God, of Krishna, that is the Parabrahman, also I should show my respect, because they are worshipping my God. Anyways, they are worshipping my Krishna. So why Paramahansa Ramakrishna did this question at the beginning, meeting the newcomers, because he don't want to speak in such a way that the newcomers will feel hurt about their spiritual path. And this is very wise, extremely wise. Now, there is a big difference between understanding all the views and to be a people pleaser. Ramakrishna was not a people pleaser, because when he must to say the truth and when he must to stand for what was correct, he did it. He didn't shake. He was very straightforward, but he respected the spiritual development and the spiritual path of every single soul who was coming to him. And this is a constant that I see through studying all the Siddhas, all the Siddha Mahatmas, all the Mahapurush, as Radharaman Charandas Dev, when he was in the interview with one Christian priest, very important at the time in Bengal, he came often to meet Sri Radharaman Charandas Deva. And he did all kind of questions and conversation with Bhare Baba. Bhare Baba never say that, your Bible is all bullshit. Sorry. He never say that. He respect and he teach. And what the priest said after having the darshans and meeting with Bhare Baba, he wrote himself, since today, every single meeting with this saint, Sri Radharaman Charandas Dev, I feel that I grow deeply in my spiritual understanding and in my devotion of God. This is the example, right? This is the example. And one more time, it does not mean that I must to change the text, avoid answers, or manipulate the things to please everybody. People pleasing is the job for prostitutes, and I am not that. So I don't need to be pleasing anybody. Respecting everybody, yes. Helping everybody, yes, of course. That's why I am a devotee of Nityananda, my Nityananda Ram, and my Bhare Baba, who are pure mercy. But the truth is truth. And here we have, God has form and not form. I respect both, but likely I have my Krishna, my beautiful Krishna. Jai Gurudev, Jai Nitai, Jai Gaur, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam.